Hey everybody, Brian Shea here. Today I want to talk about return on investment, and specifically I want to talk about a great article I read by Jason Cohen. He's an entrepreneur that started a number of software companies, and the article he wrote is called ROI is the Wrong Way to Sell Your Product. And I really like this article because of a number of sort of interesting themes that he points out about ROI and making the pitch for a particular product or project. So in the article, he talks about a product that he launched years ago called Code Reviewer, and that was a product that helped software developers, coders, programmers be more efficient. So it helped them to save time. And he said for the years that he was selling this product, he would always make an ROI argument to buyers. He would talk about how much time it would save the developers, the company who were purchasing the software, and he did all these calculations. And he said no one ever bought his software, Code Reviewer, based on those calculations he put together. There was other reasons why they purchased it, but it wasn't the ROI calculations that was the thing that really sold it to folks. And he draws a number of conclusions about why that was, and I wanted to highlight some of them because I think it's really interesting for us who are leading Salesforce projects, and how we pitch value to people and how we make the business case for our projects. So I'm going to call out a few points that he made. So the first point that I want to call out here is probably the most basic one when we're talking about making a business case, but it's know your buyer. So what Jason says is the person who is actually making the buying decision for the software wasn't particularly concerned about the number of hours saved for that it would save developers. That just wasn't something that person was responsible for. So even if it were true that developers would save a lot of time, it wasn't particularly relevant for the person who was making the buying decision. So really important for us as we're making the business case for projects to be very clear about the people who are making the decisions and what their incentive structures are and what is important to them, because there may be a number of reasons why and how the project could add value. But when we're making a business case, we want to really be focused on what will resonate the most with our folks who are making the decisions on it, and our audience and our buyers, so to speak. Number two, he doesn't specifically make this point, but it's a point sort of underlying the article in some way, is in general, I'd say efficiency arguments around if we do this project, we'll save so much time in the future. I think those are very much overrated in terms of arguments and pitches for doing a particular project. I think there can be a lot of value in increased efficiency. I think a lot of our projects help to drive efficiency. But I think when we start to try to do calculations around, okay, if we do this project and we spend X amount of dollars and it will down the road help us save X number of person hours, I think a lot of times those arguments often fall flat. And I think one of the reasons why they fall flat is that when you're getting into number of hours that are saved after you make a particular upfront investment, I think a lot of times the value isn't quite big enough. It's oftentimes takes quite a bit of time to make back the initial cost of the initial project. And so for that, and I think for other reasons, efficiency arguments oftentimes are kind of less powerful than sometimes people think. And this brings us to the third point that Jason Cohen calls out, which is when you're doing a project, you really want to be focused on projects that create so much value that the idea of needing to calculate is almost beside the point. And so when we talk about projects that create so much value that ROI calculations are almost beside the point, oftentimes these kind of projects fall into a category that I'll call growth projects. Okay, so as opposed to efficiency projects, which are focused on decreasing costs or automating manual activities, growth projects help the business sell more or launch a new service, new product, or a new service. So some examples here. Number one, any project that's in and of itself a new product or service or helps the business launch a new product or service. Two, any project that significantly improves the customer or client experience. And then the third one I'd say is any project that significantly helps the sales and marketing team perform better and sell more. So those types of things aren't focused on, as I said, reducing costs. They're really helping the organization increase revenue. And I think those types of arguments more and more are the really powerful arguments when making the case for your projects. So keep those in mind as you're thinking through the business case for your projects. And I definitely recommend you check out Jason Cohen's article. It's really great. And I hope you all have a great day.